Two Syracuse area police officers die in what started out as a very routine call. And the fact that it was so routine and the neighborhood where it all happened is so quiet, it is sending shockwaves through the local law enforcement community. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning following that for us tonight. Lexi.
Jeff, criminal justice classes at Jefferson Community College opened with discussions of last night's shooting. The professor says the tragedy is unfortunately part of the lesson plan.
And they're difficult discussions, but we go right at it.
Around 80 students are enrolled in Jefferson Community College's criminal justice program. Associate Professor Paul Altieri opened his classes Monday morning talking about a Sunday night shooting near Syracuse.
I'm sick. I'm exhausted. I'm angry of what's going on with these actions against our law enforcement officers.
A quiet Liverpool neighborhood lined with basketball hoops and school board candidate signs became flooded with gunshots when 33-year-old Christopher Murphy allegedly ambushed and opened fire at Syracuse police officer Michael Jensen and Onondaga Sheriff's Lieutenant Michael Husak. Officers shot back, killing Murphy. The shooting stemmed from an incident hours earlier. Syracuse police were trying to pull over a suspicious vehicle when it flew off. Officers traced the license plate number back to the town of Salina neighborhood where the two were shot and killed.
I've lost students in our program because they see what's on the news and they hear about things and they choose a different occupation. Well, my counter to those students is now of all time, we need the best police officers possible.
Law enforcement agencies all over the state are sending condolences and messages of support. On Facebook, many changing their profile pictures or sharing photos of Syracuse police and Onondaga County Sheriff's emblems.
It reminds us that we have to be, as police officers, ever vigilant in our day-to-day activities.
Carthage Police Chief John Poggi says it's an event that resonates with all law enforcement.
Any situation can evolve into something very, very bad very, very quickly.
Lewis County Sheriff Mike Carpinelli says his heart is broken, writing, quote, "Even though these men know what they face every day, it does not make it any easier for their families and brother officers." And Black River Police Chief Steve Wood calls the incident a tough one for all law enforcement, writing, quote, "We know these departments and some have trained with these officers." And Jeff, this video here shows more than 100 law enforcement officers and first responders lining the streets of Upstate University Hospital in salute as the bodies of the two officers were transported to the medical examiner's office last night.